The Pharmacy on Today, sponsored by Boots.
You're very welcome back to the show. Now, hopefully we're all going to have a great Christmas, a very safe Christmas, no health panics, but just in case, of course, there are little ones that pop up. Donal O'Sullivan from Boots is here to help.
Donal, you have a festive first aid planned for us, and I mentioned it earlier on. We're going to start with, I was taking the turkey out of the oven, and all of a sudden I burned my hand. What do I do?
Well, the best thing is to run the hand under water, about 15 degrees Celsius. Some people would put the hand into ice, but that would actually do more harm than good because it constricts the blood vessels.
So lukewarm water, so maybe?
About 15 degrees, tepid, and for 20 minutes,
What?
Yeah, for 20 minutes. No, I was asking Mark had he any extra tips, but he says he never gets burnt, so he must be a top
But chefs are just immune. Seriously, it's almost like they get burned so much they don't even feel it anymore. But, you know, I would naturally, I don't know about you, though, I'd put my hand under cold water.
Same as that, and leave it there for about 30 seconds.
Yeah,
well, you know, 15 minutes, it'll be just a bit tepid anyhow, but because you're getting rid of noxious materials, and it can also stabilise the mast cells and reduce histamine, so it reduces swelling.
What about aloe vera on top of it then? Something like that?
Sometimes you're better not to put cream on straight away because in case the burn has to be assessed. Do you know what's actually quite good is cling film. If you get rid of the first inch or two, you don't wrap it in cling film, just put it on it. But because it's low adherence and because it's a good barrier, it's actually quite useful, and the burn can be assessed. Then you can see through it. Now, obviously, if a burn is serious enough, or if that burn hasn't healed in 2 weeks, always get it checked.
Well, that's different.
What
about all those things you can buy, like the burn gels, or maybe I'd often put like a Sudocrem, you know, like a nappy cream. Those
the gels are good because they are more transparent and they're handy. I'd always keep that now in the car or anything because you know if you're out and about in here. But like I said, the water is the main thing in here for the first 20 minutes when you're.
Is there anything you shouldn't put on there, Donal?
Like we were saying, sometimes they say maybe creams aren't the best thing to put on because it could interfere more with the assessment of it, not in the initial stages. Now, down the line, doctors might want to prescribe, there's a cream, flamazine cream on prescription and that. And then people need to be careful to avoid, you know, sometimes they want to go on blisters and things. And
good Lord.
Don't do that unless it's under medical supervision. I mean, because they might want to de-roof a big blister or something. But
I don't think now we're talking like a tiny little bit of burn.
Don't want another thing that may or may not have happened last Christmas to me. I overate a small bit.
A bit of indigestion in here.
A small bit of that,
A small bit of that.
Have you anything to relieve any bit of that over the Christmas?
Well, unfortunately, I'm going to be a bit of the Grinch now because a lot of the advice is going to be against what people associate normally with Christmas. But I suppose to try to avoid eating 3 or 4 hours before going to bed, you could always put a few books and that under the back legs of the bed and maybe an extra pillow because that can reduce the chances of the contents of your stomach. I don't mean to be disgusting, but them travelling up the throat at night time.
So you elevate what?
Elevate the back of the bed in here, the back of the bed, so that you're a small bit more upright.
Or something might fall off without Donal.
That's right, you must lie down there. But at least we'll say there, you have less chance of having indigestion. But I'm afraid that the alcohol makes it worse. The smoking makes it worse.
Indigestion is the most important thing.
The big meals make it worse.
I feel like I'm being bullied here, lads.
I'm like the Grinch here now, so I don't...
No, but it's very, very important as well. And to kind of have some kind of plan as well beforehand.
Well, I think I always plan. I have everything in my kind of cupboard of, you know, the motiliums and all these different things.
Yes, exactly.
You know,
the
antacids can't you?
Neutralise it fairly fast, the acid. And even we were talking about, you know, if you're talking about heartburn and that, there are even preparations with alginic acid. It forms a raft at the top of the stomach to keep the contents down.
You can get all that stuff from the pharmacy, can't you?
Oh, you
can stock up. Seriously, I believe you should be stocked up.
The only important thing that we'd want to say is that what we sometimes see in pharmacy is that people with recurring indigestion. Now, if you have indigestion that's recurring, you know,
problem.
Get it checked out.
Of course,
that's important. What about food poisoning? Is there anything you can give for that, or do you just have to let it run its course?
Hydration.
Water.
That's the key thing in here, and sometimes people use rehydration salts. If you're able to eat, you can eat away. But what's very important to realise is that you could be still infectious for 2 days after the symptoms have cleared. So stay away from school, stay away from work.
And what are those symptoms?
You could be talking about nausea, vomiting,
diarrhea,
cramping, and maybe a bit of a temperature in here. So not very pleasant. Not very Christmassy.
Actually, there's that vomiting bug. Is that going around at the moment? Tell us about that.
Like I was saying to you earlier, Mara, that the NHS say that about 1 million people every year get the winter vomiting bug,
in the UK,
virus in the UK, and it's such a tough virus because we're all, you know, with our hand gels now, but you can't depend on hand gels to kill this virus. Soap and water to wash your hands That's so important. And it is so contagious that if somebody in the house vomits or if they have diarrhea, you really have to get the bleach-based disinfectants out, because even some research shows it can actually stay on surfaces for up to 2 weeks.
So
it's a very
stay
it's a tough,
stay
it's
at
a
home
tough
if you have it
virus.
done. Stay at home.
The same case again, you might have the symptoms maybe that for 2 or 3 days, but for even 2 days after having that winter vomiting bug, stay at home.
But what if you feel like you have to go to the doctor? Should you go to the doctor or should you call him?
I'd phone the doctor.
Okay.
Now, you might phone the doctor. We'll say if you weren't even, you couldn't keep fluids down, that you were vomiting so much, or that if you felt that you weren't urinating enough, that you were getting dehydrated, and maybe if you're in a vulnerable group, maybe you're pregnant or certain medical conditions get checked with you would phone the doctor, or a young child or somebody who's elderly, and that could be vulnerable to dehydration.
How important is it? Because obviously at the moment doctors don't want you to come unless you're ill. Let's be honest about things, and get prescriptions. And I mean, people are saying, stock up now, because obviously the doctors will be giving a lot more of the booster jabs. But Donald, rehydration, these salts, how important is it to have those rehydration salts in your body?
That is the main thing when you get any of these vomiting bugs, and that is to keep yourself hydrated. And like if you see there that if the nappies are going a bit dry or anything like that, Mara, that's where you're running into danger and into difficulty, and that's when you should phone the doctor.
Don, we've around 30 seconds left there. You have some creams here as well, because it's cold out there as well, and sometimes the skin can get affected by that as well.
Exactly, we'll say the winter time. So we have products here now. So this one has some seaweed extracts in it, so it's quite a good moisturiser. And you have a hand cream here from Kinvara, which has some plant oils. And this one for your Christmas stocking, Dahi, is quite big, but a lot of men like it because it's fragrance-free. Now, I don't know how big the Christmas stocking is by you, but that could be a good one then, the Pestle and Martha product then,
Brilliant. Donald Curmila, thank you so much, and happy Christmas to you. Now, of course, if you have any health concerns, as Donald was saying, do seek medical advice from your GP or your pharmacist.
The Pharmacy on Today. Sponsored by Boots.